Where's a nerd when you need one? Oh, he's right here. Keeping your technology running smoothly, here's Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-6373-888. I am a computer nerd. I enjoy helping you out with all of your computer issues. The website is computertalkradio.com. And any questions you might have in regards to anything we cover here on the show, feel free to scroll on down and click where it says Contact Us. We will get back with you. This has actually been a crazy week, so we've got a number of different things going on. Coming up next, we're going to have Holly Homer, and she's an amazing blogger. She's got a bunch of people watching her blog, watching her Facebook stuff, and all of the rest. And we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about your kids, your grandkids, different things that you might be interested in encouraging them to do. I'm very happy with encouraging kids to join in with science, technology, engineering, and math topics, but she does all kinds of other stuff as well. Later on this hour, I'm going to talk about a movie review. In the second hour, we've got Josh Bernstein, the latest on the whole election thing. We're also going to be talking with Keith M. Sedor and Mac OS Ken, which is his screen name, and that is going to be a big, huge thing in regards to, well, we're going to talk a little bit more in regards to, yes, last week announcements, that's not even all of it. There's just so much stuff. First, let's hit the news. So, Samsung Galaxy issues are growing. Yes, this whole concept of, the Galaxy Note 7, basically, it's catching fire. And not in a good way. Basically, the users are being encouraged to turn off their phones if they're on an airplane. Yeah, let me say this again. The FAA is saying don't use it on the airplane. There has been a recall of basically 1 million of these, and this is not a very encouraging thing for Samsung. This is going to be, I don't even, I'm at a loss for words right now. I'm not sure where they're going to be going with this, but it's not good right now. The FBI is starting to say again, well, not again. A lot of people have said over the years, you should put a piece of tape over your webcam. Well, James Comey, he's the director of the FBI. He has come out and said, you know what? You go into any government office, and we have the little camera things that sit on top of the screen. They all have a little lid that closes down on them. You do that so people who don't have authority don't look at you. That's a good thing. And he revealed, basically, he puts a piece of tape over his laptop camera. This is a common thing, but it's very funny that we are going deeper and deeper down this particular rabbit hole, especially since the FBI are the same folks who want our information. They want to know what's going on. They've been fighting Apple to reveal the data that was locked into an iPhone, well, actually many iPhones, but particularly the San Bernardino bad people. We'll just say bad people. So this is something that is distinctly going in a very, very interesting direction as well. The state of California, which leads the way with a lot of the different laws and the different regulations that stretch across the country. Let me back up. Let me give you an example. You most likely have some sort of emission controls devices in your car. You probably live in a state, if you're not in California, you live in a state which has no appreciable laws in regards to smog devices, in regards to these air-controlled devices to keep your car from messing up, the air in your state. This all pretty much comes from California. California is leveling a number of different laws. They're working on a mandatory energy efficiency standard for computers, for monitors, even for gadgets. This is one of those situations where they're diving in and they're saying, oh yeah, computers can't pull more than this or that or whatever. One of the interesting things in California, computers and monitors, this isn't even touching on any of the gadgets, computers and monitors alone pull down roughly 5,610 gigawatt hours of electricity. That basically accounts for 3% of residential electric use and 7% of commercial use. All of this while the computers are sitting, dormant, asleep. Some of the things that they are looking at basically are going to be quite intrusive. We have this idea. Well, we don't really need to have a screensaver. Well, we don't really need to have our monitors shut down. Well, they're going to say that. I'm sure of that. They are looking at some of these standards to be hitting fairly quickly. And there is also a commentary that's basically saying it's going to add about $15 a piece to the retail cost of computers. Doesn't seem like a whole lot, and they do say that it's going to save consumers, that's you and I, more than $40 in electric bills over 5 years. Okay, well, but let's bring that down over 2.5 years. That's only $20. So they're going to add $15 to save $20. Okay, yes, sometimes you have your computer longer than 2.5 years. My current rate is a little bit less than 2 years. So I know a lot of people have it for probably a bit longer than that. But you've got an idea. This is something that could be quite intrusive. The standards are expected to start being progressed out nationwide. Well, even still, it's not even one of those issues that they will be rolled out nationwide. We may wind up in a situation where everybody builds computers for the 35 million people in California, and everybody else in the United States just kind of has to live with those different changes, just like our cars. Yeah, go figure. Yeah. So one last thing here before we head on to the next item, basically with Holly Homer. There is, at the end of this month, this whole plan of giving the internet control over names, but also some of the, a lot of different other things. This whole concept is going to be going over to, this organization called ICANN. But it makes that, it's already had it for a while. It's already been there for quite a while. So we think that might be okay, except for the fact that this means the United States is no longer controlling this. And that means censorship is on the way. And I've talked about this a little bit in the past few weeks, and I'm currently trying to line up someone to actually talk a little bit more in detail about this. But I am very concerned because we already have a number of tech organizations that are saying that this is okay. Well, let me name off some of those tech organizations. Facebook, which actually has no problem with censorship. Google, which has, no problem with censorship. Yahoo, which has no problem with censorship. And the list goes on and on. And on. The tech companies are coming out left and right and saying, there's nothing wrong with this. Let's go for it. Let's make this an independent entity. Independent entities, which are no longer required to follow the rules, the guidelines, the laws of the United States of America. Instead, we get into a situation where we may have to follow the the requests of various other countries out there, which may not be quite so friendly to the concept of free speech. I don't know. Let's say someplace like, I don't know, North Korea. No, actually, North Korea is pretty good on free speech. Wait, no, they're not. China. No. Oh, wait, no, they're not either. Yeah, this could be bad. India. No, not them. Pakistan. Nope, not them. Egypt. Yeah, you get the idea. This is Benjamin Rockwell. Holly Homer joins me next here on Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. We also have our Contact Us location right there. Just slide down the homepage just a little bit. It says Contact Us. We've got all of the ways to contact us right there. Again, computertalkradio.com. I have Holly Homer on the line right now, and Holly is... Well, for starters, I think one of the things that's just really amazing to me is you've got somewhere around 2.5 million fans on Facebook. 2.5 million fans. That's awesome.
That's a lot of people. I know, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So now, this is something that basically you've been blogging for a long time. And you've done so well with blogging. Tell me about your husband. What happened there?
So, yeah, I started a blog about 9 years ago, and I didn't even know what a blog was. It was kind of just like to share pictures online to replace an expensive scrapbooking habit.
Okay.
And it just kind of grew over time to the point where last spring, my husband, it just made financial sense for my husband to retire from being a physician, because it was a really stressful job, and join me in our company now, and it's just been amazing.
So let me just underscore this again. It made financial sense for your husband, a doctor, to stop working and help you. That is really awesome. So you talk about a number of different kinds of things on your blogging. And there's just all kinds of different directions that people can go in when we talk about this topic, which is kids. It's youth. And I will tell you that, okay, so I'm the father of a 24-year-old. He just got married. We finally got him out of the house. Finally. No, I'm kidding on that one. But so I have some of that parenting stuff, and he was distinctly a digital native. But there's a lot of people out there that maybe don't even understand a digital native is somebody who really grew up around technology. They don't know a life without technology. Our kids, our youth, frequently are becoming digital natives without the parents being even aware sometimes of technology. So with your situation, where do you sit? So you were just barely into this whole. You didn't even know what a blog was, and you started blogging.
I I accidentally do a lot of things, and this was one of them.
Okay.
But, I literally, 9 years ago, I used to have my husband download my email. Like, I didn't even know how to get my own email. And I know now that, like, I don't think there was, like, any magical thing that happened. I think he just pushed a button. You know?
Yeah. It's pretty much right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, over the last 9 years, obviously, I've had to pick up quite a bit of information, but it just goes to show that blogging and, kind of that whole social media frontier, you don't have to come in with a lot of knowledge. You just have to be persistent and want to get the word out. And so for me, that meant Kids Activities blog, and that's my main site. And really, I have a passion for making sure kids still play. And I think in modern day, and, I have 3 boys. They're 10, 13, and 15. So obviously there's video games in my house. And there's a lot of video games in my house. but I think, in this year, in this day and age, it's easy just to let that video game go on for, all day and night. And I think one of the things that, parents today have to think about is, hey, let's interrupt that. Let's get them outside. Let's get them playing. Let's get them, exercising. Let's have some fun as a family.
Sure.
No matter what that looks like for you.
That was quite a chore for myself. Getting Benny out of the house and into stuff. I mean, he did. Fortunately, early on he took Taekwondo, and then later on he took some dance classes. So he got a lot of exercise. But it's that vitamin D. It's that getting outside in the sun, which is usually a difficulty. So how did you tackle stuff like that?
So I mean, on one hand, I was lucky, and on the other hand, not so lucky, because when this all started for me, I realized that I had 3 boys under the age of 5.
Okay.
And boys have a lot of energy, and it was really a sanity saver for me. Like, I had to get them out, and I had to figure out how to get their energy out.
Sure.
Or else, the whole house was just a complete chaos. And, I was, hiding out in the bathroom, sobbing, so...
Oh.
It was kind of parental sanity at the beginning to figure out how to get, one of the things that, past generations just happened naturally was, playing in the mud, being bored outside, all these things that, today's youth have no idea about. And so trying to get back to basics, and that's one of the things you'll find on Kids Activities blog, is a lot of traditional type kids activities and crafts that are super simple. You don't have to buy anything. It's stuff you already have at home. Let's just just have fun with what's in the kitchen junk drawer.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. So basically, are we talking about the baking soda volcanoes kind of stuff, or
yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's one of the ones that's in one of my books, and it's literally a lot of things that you probably did as a kid. Your parents may have done as a kid, but we have kind of lost sight in what this kind of glossy, super. I don't know. I don't understand what's happened lately, but, for some reason, if you throw a birthday party, it needs to look like a wedding these days.
I know. I've seen that. That's actually really scary. What are you doing?
Know.
The kid is 1 year old. You don't need to invite 700 people to the first birthday party. Yes.
Well, and I first came upon this, when my oldest was really young, and I realized that many of the parties we would go to, just for a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, I would end up, my kid would end up with a goodie bag that was worth 2 or 3 times the gift that we took to the party.
Oh, wow.
And I just started thinking, I feel like, especially young parents that have grown up in this kind of, seeing the catalog, seeing Pinterest, seeing, parenting magazines,
Sure.
where everything's super glossy, is they haven't been given permission to have just fun. Don't plan it, just have fun. Don't worry what it turns out to be. we're not, Martha Stewart has a full staff. We're parents. We just need to sit down and have fun with our kids.
Oh, wow. And this is one of those things which I'm sure this has helped your kids both as far as with the concept of A, getting exercise, B, learning, but I imagine also social. Your kids probably are quite social, probably do pretty well there, don't they?
Yeah, and we partially homeschool, and we've been doing that ever since they were little. So we've always had, what I love about that community is, if listeners aren't familiar with that, is that a lot of times you end up playing with kids that are different ages. And I think that's
Sure.
one thing that that is lacking in school sometimes, is you're always in your age group. And social, that's just not real world. You're usually with multi-generations no matter where you are outside of school. And so I love that about it. And then the second part of that is, it's true, when kids are bored together, they get really creative.
Yeah. Hey, I wonder if we do this and we can explode it. If we can do, no. Okay. So when we come back from the break, Holly, I want to, because I know we're computer talk radio, but I want to at least stick with the STEM concept, science and technology and all that. I understand you probably have some science experiments or something. Maybe we can come up with 3 experiments that people can do with their kids that are real simple for the parents. And we'll do that.
Okay.
And we'll do that here next, here on Computer Talk Radio. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get computer hardware. It's not easy, as there are so many stores that have gone out of business, so many shady characters online, or they're simply not capable of handling diverse needs. In 1979, 2 guys got together and built a computer company that could serve your nerdy needs. Micro Center. The wide range of products at Micro Center includes even the latest of Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and other hobbyist-level computers. They also have drones. They've got them in all price categories, from toys to, oh boy. Look, you're looking for console gaming, home automation. Micro Center's got that. Hardware, software, accessories, or, whatever. It doesn't matter. From Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. I don't know if I could come up with 3 science experiments that parents can do at home with their kids. That's why I've got Holly Homer on, and she was named by Mashable as one of the top 10 Facebook Live stars to follow.
Kind of crazy for a mom from Texas.
Okay, so let me ask you real quick before we go into the science experiments. I picture Mashable's top 10 people are probably kind of more like me, probably kind of nerdy, aren't they?
I can't speak for you. But the funny thing is there's amazing people on that list. People that bake these elaborate cakes, and people that do tattoos, and this guy who does these hula hoop dancing. That's just amazing. And then there's me, a mom from Texas that just talks to moms on Facebook Live. So I feel so honored to be on that list, but I feel completely out of place.
Well, that's kind of cool, though. That's kind of cool. All right. So science experiments. What's the first one that comes to mind? If I say, give me a science experiment that I can do with my kids.
So and this is more of an activity, but
Okay.
It's something that I can give you this idea, and it could literally keep your kids occupied for the next 8 hours, and those are the kind I love.
8 hours.
And
all right. Okay.
I know. So what it is it's called what we call a paper roller coaster, and you just pull out some catalogs or some old magazines from your recycling bin and hand them to your kids with some Scotch tape or masking tape or whatever you have available. and show them how you tear out a piece of paper and then roll it and tape it so that you are starting to make all these paper tubes. And so have them just start making these paper tubes, and then show them, and you only have to show them really quickly because they'll catch on very, very quickly to this, is how you could tape those tubes together to create a tripod, and then another tripod, and another tripod, and then start stacking the tripods. And let them just go crazy with building this thing. And then what we do, you could obviously build just a structure or bridges or whatever you want to with these paper tubes. But what I like to do is then have them use and we use just typing paper or whatever we have around the house that's been used. Is cut them into strips and then create little tracks. So that we can create a track that goes all the way through all those tripods you made, and as a roller coaster that you could put a marble on. And you'll find, you'll start them with a marble, and they'll end up pulling out the Hot Wheels and and the bouncy balls, and what you thought was going to be 3 feet by 3 feet is suddenly 10 feet by 17 feet in the entire living room. And that's the beauty of this, is there's no right or wrong way. They can just go crazy building in a way that is just free.
It's just a fancy Rube Goldberg machine, except not so fancy, I guess. Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, and they'll do stuff and that's what's so fun about. I love when you can just hand something over to a kid and just let them run with it, because they'll come up with something way better than you ever would have planned.
Sure. All right, so what's another one?
So you mentioned the baking soda and vinegar.
Okay.
That is a huge one for us. And there's so many different ways you can put that together. You can do that at your kitchen counter by what I like to do is get out a cookie sheet, put some drops of food coloring directly on that sheet, and then put just a thin layer of baking soda across those drops so that you cover them up. The child doesn't even know they're there. And then what they can do is take a little bit of vinegar, and you could either use it in a turkey baster or depending on, obviously if you have really small kids, you want to be close by them when they do this. But put some vinegar in a turkey baster and just let them drop it onto the baking soda. And what happens is when they hit the areas that have those that color underneath the baking soda, they'll get bubbles that are all sorts of different colors. And so they'll start seeing yellow and orange and bubbling up on that cookie sheet, which is a really unexpected thing for them. And it's really fun. They love that. Of course, anytime you can drop out of a turkey baster, it's really fun.
Sure, yeah. All right, we've got time for about one more, real quick.
So this is one you probably did in high school or college, but the egg drop. Is having them figure out how to create something that to cushion that egg, and then drop it, off of a balcony or off of a ladder or whatever you have available. And kids will go crazy for that. And it's such a simple thing to do.
Sure. Yeah. And the nice thing about this is everything here is cheap. This is common sense. This is very basic and simple. I love this.
We don't get complicated. No, there's just not time for that these days.
I imagined I don't know. It's just something massive and huge, and no, it's a matter of just appealing to having their brain work and letting that get exercised.
And the fun thing is kids love science because it's a mystery. It's investigation. It's usually the parents that are more scared of science than the kids are. And that's why we really wanted to write a science book that let the parents play with the kids. And it didn't, you didn't have to be a scientist or have a degree or, have all this fancy knowledge. You can just play with your kids. That's just the fun of it.
You've got your Facebook account. You've got a number of different things. Give people a few ideas of how they can check into all this stuff that you're doing, Holly.
Okay. So kidsactivitiesblog.com is the main site where you'll find all these fun things to do with kids and kind of resources for parents and caregivers. And then the Facebook page is Quirky Mama. And the same thing there. We share a ton of things, from videos to different things that might appear on Kids Activities blog. And then if the books the one that was released last spring is 101 Coolest Simple Science Experiments, and those have just literally 101 things you can do at your kitchen counter or in your backyard. And then the first is 101 Kids Activities that are the bestest, funnest ever. And that has just tons of stuff you can do as a family. Each activity has modifications for younger kids and modifications for older kids so that families can really play together.
Very cool. That's Holly Homer, and you're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, this is Benjamin Rockwell. Most of us use digital cameras nowadays, but what do we do with those old pictures and slides in the back of the closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. If you have boxes of old slides, then you know they fade more and more each year. Let Legacy Digital scan them for you and stop the aging process dead in its tracks. You'll get beautiful 10-megapixel digital files, color-corrected and ready for printing. All this is done faster and cheaper than buying a film scanner and doing it yourself. Your files are then burned onto gold archival DVD discs where they will last for generations. Call right now, mention my name, Benjamin Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. And tell them Benjamin sent you. Your memories are priceless, so call 866-2-LEGACY now.
Technology affects us in so many different ways. There's so many different things that arrive at our doorstep because of technology. And one of the things that I would never have expected in a recent movie that I saw was how technology now can bring the worship experience to a movie theater. Now, for years, I have considered one of the best concert videos to be Talking Heads Stop Making Sense. And one of the best rockumentary, is that, music and documentary movie would be Rattle and Hum with U2, which definitely has a lot of religious undertones throughout it. But the movie I saw most recently is one that gets released this weekend. It is Hillsong, Let Hope Rise. And this falls into both that documentary, that rockumentary kind of feel, because there's a lot of that, but the music throughout was absolutely amazing. And this was an outstanding experience. My wife and I had a chance to sit with a theater, I would say right around 85% full of people who work in the Christian media field. And I will tell you, it was absolutely amazing to hear people not only singing along, but I was able to look over my shoulder and see people who were following along and praising with the band. They were enjoying the music. They were in pretty close to a worshipful. As much of a worshipful state as people might get before actually arriving at a Hillsong concert or going into an actual church. If you have not heard of Hillsong, if you have been to church anytime in the last, probably 5 years or so, if you are in a contemporary church or even a mildly contemporary church, you've heard undoubtedly at least one of these songs that Hillsong United has. They have a number of these number one Christian hits. But even more impressive is that we had a glimpse into a lot of the background of some of these folks that are part of a Christian music group. We have this idea in our mind sometimes, especially with me. I've seen the behind the scenes of a number of different bands, both Christian and non-Christian, and sometimes we get these images. We think of Kanye West, for instance. I don't know why he popped into my head. I don't even think I've ever heard any of his songs, but it's one of those things where we see these imagery items where these guys flaunt their money. They're living the lifestyles of the rich and famous, to borrow the name of that TV show so long ago. The folks from Hillsong, the movie showed them being pretty much down to earth. And when I say down to earth, one of the band members, I believe it was a keyboardist, was basically his wife lives, I'm doing this from memory, his wife lives at home with her parents, or maybe it's his parents, and she has actually a kid that one of their children has some difficulties, medical difficulties. I can't remember the specifics. It was 2 months ago. But the entire just view on their lives and how they're looking at things and all of this, they don't make a lot of money. The idea of all of this is to, well, it's to communicate a message. If you're at all familiar with the concept of evangelizing, it's a matter of going out and spreading the word about, the Bible and what it says in the Bible and Christianity and so forth. And all of these people were not only showing us images like that, but they were going out, and it seemed to me to be one of the most genuine, down-to-earth groups I've ever seen on a big screen. Look, Hillsong, Let Hope Rise, is without a doubt the best Christian film, a Christian documentary, I should say, that I've ever seen. It is, other than, of course, the actual, the Passion of the Christ and stuff like that. It is, it's amazing. It is something that even if you are not fully into the church, you go once in a while, you go like a couple of times a year or something like that, this is actually something you may enjoy. You may actually just find yourself singing along with it. If you are a regular churchgoer, again in a contemporary service, you will really enjoy this. It's a glimpse at what I feel are some of the most amazing, genuine people and the lives that they lead. It's absolutely great. Again, Hillsong, Let Hope Rise. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and just a normal person. Recently, though, it was clear to me that it was time to upgrade. But I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After searching around for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when a 32-ounce soda would do. These guys know WordPress, Joomla, and regular standard websites. These guys at SiteGround are awesome. SiteGround.com. Site, S-I-T-E, ground.com. The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. I get questions all the time, and this is just one of them. How do I spend $100 to make my computer better? And this comes up in various different ways, different forms, but it really boils down to the simple basic of somebody wants to spend a little bit of money, not a whole lot of money, and they want to make their computer better. $100. $100 is really that magic point where you can upgrade your hard drive to a solid-state drive. Yeah, that is probably the easiest answer that I have these days. We can talk about memory. We can talk about upgrading your video card. And we get into very specific circumstances for why we would upgrade your memory, why we would upgrade your video card. But if you do not have a solid-state hard drive, that $100, give or take, you add on a little bit for taxes in some parts of the country. You've got various issues in regards to shipping and so forth. But we're roughly going with that $100 price point. That solid-state drive is going to make your system boot a lot faster. How much faster? I will tell you that I have seen, without any optimization whatsoever, I've seen a system go from booting in a matter of about 5 minutes to just over 30 seconds. And that's probably the worst one I've seen. I've seen systems with solid-state drives which boot faster than you'd ever believe. It's a matter of that seems to be that big bottleneck now these days, where the information that has to load from your hard drive into your computer, that's where everything's going slow. Now, you do have to have enough memory. You do have to have an ideal video card. This is something that's not going to work on a system that is, let's say, that's 10 years old. Yeah, I mean, it will run faster. Your Windows XP system will run faster if you put in a solid-state hard drive and you go through the migration process and all of that. And there are people that make migration kits, and they'll be about another $30 or whatever. Some of the hard drives come with the migration kit included. It all depends. There's a number of different ways we can do this. But the core concept is that you can restore life to a computer for $100. That's going to work on a MacBook. That's going to work on a Windows PC. That's going to work on, pretty much any version of Windows XP, whether XP 7, Vista, Windows 8. Windows 8, get something other than Windows 8. And, of course, Windows 10. But all the way along, oh, man, it's astounding the speed increases you're going to get. Can you do this on your own? Many people can. Not everybody, but I'm going to say a lot of you can do this. It's a nice way to spend $100, and the reward is just great. It's awesome. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
Bringing you the latest in computers and gadgetry, here's Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-637-3888. I'm a computer nerd. You already know that, I hope. You probably figured that out from the phone number. Maybe you figured it out because you're a regular listener, and that's quite all right as well. Man, this is just, it's an interesting time of year, and I will tell you that the fake news stories, wow, they've come out of the woodwork. It's one of those things where we now are seeing something that I don't know that I've ever seen this before, where there are a number of different news organizations that are running into problems because they're reporting stuff as fact, even though it was fiction. We saw something like that back ages ago. Sarah Palin was running to be vice president, and Tina Fey went on to Saturday Night Live, and she said something like, I can see Russia from my living room, or something like that. Well, that wasn't Sarah Palin. That was, yes, Tina Fey. It was an entire spoof thing of something that Sarah Palin said, where she did say that, yes, there are places in Alaska where you can see Russia. Okay, fine, whatever. Look, the issue here, though, is that we're starting down a lot of different roads where we're going to need to be able to watch out for ourselves, to protect ourselves from these fake news stories. TheOnion.com is not the place that you're going to find a legitimate news story. I'm going to refer back to this a couple of times here. Unfortunately, even some of their news items seem real, and sometimes even more real than some of the actual news items that are out there, especially at this time of year. But again, The Onion is a satirical website. So how do we spot the fakes? Not only in the news stories, but the sites themselves. We're going to go through a couple of different topics here, or not topics, but ideas as far as helping us out with this. Okay, for starters, some of the time these sources advise that they are satire, like The Onion, where they actually tell you, they say that it's satire. It's somewhere down at the very bottom of the page. Sometimes it's actually hidden away. If you do a search for satire, almost all the time they know that they've got to put it somewhere on the page, and so it might be actually hidden behind something. So when you do a search, Control F, and you search for the word satire, it'll pop up. It'll be down in the bottom, buried in black text on black background. I've seen this before, but we're going to give you more tips, though. Here's this one. The story is overly compelling. There's this concept of clickbait. Clickbait it's a pejorative term for web links that thrive by your clicking. And eventually you see their ads. Eventually you see everything else that's up there. And they gain a little bit of money, pennies, to click through and show, for you to click through, and where you see those ads. These websites, this clickbait concept is seeking to keep you curious enough to click, but not really give away any knowledge that they're drawing you in. We also see this on many legitimate locations as well. Nightly news. I remember noticing this years ago. The nightly news, they would say, coming up, how you can live to be 100 years old. And I remember one night, okay, they led with that item. Coming up, we're going to tell you how you can live to be 100 years old. And we went through the first commercial break, the second commercial break, and they kept on teasing this before and after the commercial break. I don't even remember how many times they did this. And eventually what it wound up being was there was this 100-year-old who smoked a cigar after 3 shots of whiskey each night before heading to bed. yes, she was 100 years old, but clearly an exception to the rules that we've grown so accustomed to. There's this old adage repeated heavily by a TV host that I watched growing up by the name of David Horowitz. And he always said, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If we apply this theory to everything as you go online, the promises of fame and fortune for all, the long life, or I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a matter of, perhaps if you read this, this will be absolutely hilarious. Yeah. If it's compelling, if it's that clickbait, you can always move on. Your emotions go through the roof. This is another extension of the clickbait concept. And this is where the lead-in to that story, the headline, the whatever, it eventually leads to your worst fears. You can see this coming. You read the headline and, oh my, it's they're doing this, that, or the other thing. They're going to raise taxes on everybody. And yeah, look, there are legitimate talk show hosts out there that put this kind of stuff up there. It doesn't mean that all of this is true. The ideas in different organizations of the delineation of fact and fiction can affect this. I like particularly a couple of different talk show hosts, but I also know that they themselves are prone towards delivering clickbait, to announcing something, and they announce it just enough to say, this was reported to us, and we're passing this along because you need to know that the government is going to take over the upcoming election, or whatever it is. Caveat emptor, or buyer beware. Of course, the news site that you might be going to, they may be considered to be shady. I mean, we know of a number of these different organizations out there. They may be seeming to cash in on someone else's good name. This is very, very common. And it kind of links into a couple of different sites which are spoofing somebody else's name. They're living off of somebody else's good name. DrudgeRetort.com. Well, Drudge Retort. Okay, it's semi-legitimate. Their response to Drudge Report, they're posting a lot of left-wing items where they accuse Drudge Report of doing a lot of right-wing items. There's something called World News Daily, and they are accused of spoofing World Net Daily. World News Daily is not so political. World Net Daily is political. Again, they're right-wing, but that's another story. What about NBC.co? Wait, yeah, that's right. Not NBC.com, .co. Misspell the website name, and you could be reading more clickbait. It's all out there. Also, other stories may seem to be off. I mean, we know the National Enquirer. We know all about them. Also, we can check out some of the places like The Sun and Daily Mail Online. These are two English papers that are out there. They're regular newspapers, but they tend to run in a very interesting direction where a lot of their items are kind of, well, I don't know. They understand the value of clickbait. They really do. But they also cover the latest scandals of this celebrity or that. They've got ads that are, I don't know, they're lurid in nature. If you see stuff like this, if it seems to be like this place is filled with all kinds of clickbait, yeah, step back and consider any of the articles that they put up as being potentially questionable. Also, check into reputable news sites. They could be quiet, or run a search, online search. Google that headline, see if that is something that gives it away. Also, predictions of doom. We've already seen that. The cures for cancer, obesity, all of that. Yeah, these are things which, yeah, in our lifetimes, we will see a number of different predictions of the world is ending, or we found a cure for cancer. Give it time. Give it time. One more. If it's about the latest poll and the results are Shocking. Yeah, we've become conditioned to believe in many polls, but the reality is slowly dawning on us that polls include biases, whether through intent or non-intent. And, online polls, even worse, where people on one side of the topic or the other can be convinced by knowing friends in an effort to actually to twist the poll in one direction or, yes, the other. Yeah, a number of different ways that you know how to spot a fake news story. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. Josh Bernstein joins me now with this political season, which seems to be taking interesting turns everywhere we go. Josh, when we spoke a few weeks ago, you had mentioned something in regards to Hillary's health. I'm gonna say that was absolutely amazing. Because basically I heard it from you, and then all of a sudden we just started seeing all kinds of stuff in regards to her health and all of that. And that was just a casual mention that we did outside of all of the tech stuff we were covering. So I want to give you just a kind of a verbal high five on that one. That was amazing.
Well, I said a couple of weeks ago that there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that at some point from 2 weeks ago till the election that Hillary Clinton is going to have some type of health-related episode, and it will be in public. And obviously I was correct in my assessment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because 77 degrees is a sweltering day. All right. Hey, what are we seeing from both sides in regards to the usage of technology? What have we seen them doing so far this year with, Facebook, with Twitter and all of that? Other than, I know there's the battles going on between the two of them.
Well, Facebook has recently made mention that they are going to spend $20 billion on trying to suppress Donald Trump and to defeat Donald Trump on Facebook. They have come out and said that. YouTube recently has changed their advertising policies for monetization for people's YouTube channels.
Uh-huh.
They are now trying to censor people in that respect. Number 3, you've got less than 30 days until ICANN is given away to foreign countries like Iran, Russia, and China that already suppress freedom of speech on the Internet. And number 4, you've got Google pressing search results on Hillary, on her health care, and what have you. So, look, we're in a dangerous position here. And we are 2 months away, if Donald Trump doesn't win, of really being in a very bad spot when it comes to the First Amendment in America.
So Josh, are you saying that basically we're looking at the potential demise of the First Amendment?
Oh, there's no question about it in my mind. Yeah, there's no mincing words there. Yes, absolutely. The left has been coming hard after the First Amendment. They do not want any type of opposition speech. We now know that Hillary Clinton thinks that half of Donald Trump's supporters are basically devoid of human value and are irredeemable.
Yeah.
So, look, you put it all together, you can read the tea leaves. Anybody can. This is a country right now and a government and a potential future government that would be extremely radical, even more radical, I believe, than Barack Obama. I think he just got the ball rolling. So it is imperative that the never-Trumpers out there and pretty much anybody that believes in the First Amendment and the Second Amendment goes out and exercises the right to vote and votes for Donald Trump. And by goodness sakes, do not vote early. Vote on Election Day.
Yeah. So what about one of the other areas that I've got here? And this is one of those situations where in the past we've been kind of apolitical, but on the computer front, I do not see Hillary Clinton as being a fan of the First Amendment or the Fourth Amendment or the Fifth Amendment. I mean, we look at different things like the concepts of electronic spying. There is no doubt in my mind that, okay, her email's already been hacked. What is she going to do? What do you think might be going through her mind in regards to the different people who are bringing some information to light? I'm thinking of course, Guccifer, but also Snowden and stuff like that. Right.
Well, obviously, I think the WikiLeaks are going to continue to come out. We know that. We know that she has not done very well when it comes to, technology. She lied and said that she had 2 devices when she actually had 13, in which a lot of her folks and campaign folks, and maybe not campaign, State Department folks, were destroying with hammers 13 separate devices. They testified to that fact. And then, bit to erase servers. Well, I think that, you have much more of a police state, much more surveillance state if, God forbid, Hillary Clinton was elected.
Yeah. What do we see from the Donald Trump side? Have we seen anything in regards to his stance, in regards to the NSA, in regards to anything in regards to, spying on us?
Well, I think with Donald Trump, he just wants to protect us. And I think he truly wants to protect us not by spying on us, but by doing this in a certain way that will allow, I guess you could say, surveillance on the people that most risk to, perpetrate a crime against us. Now, if you want to call that racial profiling, well, I guess you could, but I think the bottom line is there's not too many Christians strapping bombs on their waists and running into supermarkets or shopping malls and screaming Allah Akbar and blowing themselves up. Now, I'm not saying that every single Muslim in America would do that. Of course, that's not the case. But to have a system in which these people are allowed to come into the country unvetted, not knowing what their intentions are, where they're coming from, and we're just giving an open-door policy, I think is not only dangerous, but it is crazy because you have to be able to control your borders. So when Donald Trump says that he wants to put a temporary halt on having people coming into the country from certain areas, I totally support that. I think that any normal-thinking human being would not see that as racist, but more as a national security measure.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I've never been to Israel, so I've never flown El Al, but I have heard many stories in regards to their process of screening passengers before they get on the plane. There's a distinct reason why what is by most of the world one of the most hated countries out there, there's a reason why they've had so few issues with hijackers, with planes flying into buildings and stuff like that over the course of the last 30 or 40 years. They are profiling. They are the leaders in profiling. And you know what? I would feel safer flying on an El Al airline flight than probably just about any other airline out there. And it's because of that.
A lot of countries that deal with terrorism on a daily basis, they have to take measures to protect themselves. You look at Israel and how much terrorism that they deal with. They did the right thing. They built the wall before, even before Donald Trump wants to. Israel has proven that building the wall can protect their citizens. And, that's something that unfortunately, because of the society that we live in, we're going to need to do. It's just a matter of national security. It has nothing to do with being racist. It has nothing to do with being isolationist. It has to do with national security. We cannot allow people to come into our country unvetted, whether it's crossing the border or on an airplane. It's just a national security issue. It's not racist or bigoted or like that.
Yeah, it's statistics. It's following the numbers. Hey, Josh, do me a favor. Give out the information where people can check out AMAC.
Sure. It is amac.us, the Association of Mature American Citizens, www.amac.us.
This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get the things that are on my nerd wish list. It's not easy. There are so many stores that have gone out of business. There are so many shady characters online, or so many of them are just simply not capable of handling my needs in a one-stop shop. In 1979, two guys got together and built the brick-and-mortar company that could serve your tech needs. Of course, today, they've got an online presence, and it's called Micro Center. They've got tablets, iPad, yes, but also Android and Windows and all the accessories, too. They've got laptops, desktops, all-in-ones, Windows or Apple, of course, all covered here. Motherboards and processors, and okay, all right, who are we kidding? It's really everything to build your own PC, keyboards, mice, surge protectors, software, tools, and thumb drives. Enough. Look, from Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com.
Keith M. Sedor is a Mac. Benjamin Rockwell is a PC. I think a fanboy fight is about to start.
The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-6373-888. Keith M. Sedor joins me now, and we also have a special guest. Go ahead and introduce him if you would, Keith.
Our special guest is none other than the Dennis Miller of podcasting, Ken Ray of macOS Ken, and now also of The Checklist. You want to tell us about your collaboration with Secure Mac and The Checklist?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, and thanks for letting me. I've known the guys from Secure Mac for a number of years, talked to them at Macworld and places like that, and a long, long time ago, we talked about the possibility of doing just a general security podcast. For some reason, that idea went away, and then no lie, 7 years later, they wrote back to me, and they're like, hey, you want to do a podcast? So what we're trying to do is, there are all kinds of things that people should do with their Macs, with their iOS devices. 7 or 8 years ago, it was kind of hard to sell people on the idea of security for the Mac, right? Because there hadn't been viruses, there hadn't been malware, the market was too small, all that stuff. It's not that they weren't susceptible, it's just nobody was targeting. Well, now, if you've got anything electronic, everybody's a target. And so the kinds of things that we're looking at are just simple steps that you can take when you first get a device, or simple steps that you can take if you're going to sell a device. It's new iPhone season, so a lot of people are going to be getting rid of their old iPhones, either trading it into somebody else or selling it to somebody or giving it to a family member. How do you make sure that all of your information's off that before it goes away? We're trying to make it very simple, very accessible. It's 5 items that we go through every week as a checklist. Hence the name of the checklist. Those guys are good and they know their stuff. I am there to facilitate their conversation and hopefully make everybody's digital world a tiny bit safer while doing it.
Well, having listened to the first episode already, I will say you are off to a good start. Benjamin, if you haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, I wholeheartedly recommend that you do.
I haven't, and I definitely plan on it because I'm not in the Mac world. I don't do a whole lot of the Mac stuff other than a little bit of Skyping and things like that.
No, but you are an IT professional dealing with security, so I think you might appreciate the security perspective that this podcast brings.
That I have on it. Yes, definitely.
There are a couple of other things in that, too. Like one of our episodes coming up, I know, is just going to be 5 best practices for good passwords and good password protection.
Yes.
That's not specific to the Mac or the PC. That's specific to anybody who's going to go online. What I would say is, I mean, on a show like this, everybody hearing this may know all the security stuff they need to know. I don't know if everybody does or not, but they may. But they've all got cousins, aunts, uncles, friends at work, people like that who are constantly bugging them. We're trying to make it as accessible to everyone. What I keep saying is, tell your mom about this show.
Yes.
She needs to know about it, or your cousin or your sister.
Yeah,
or whoever,
I think IT professionals like ourselves take these things for granted. We don't give it a second thought because they're things we don't even need to think about in order to do. But like you said, people who are not technology professionals do need to know these things, and they're probably unanswered questions for a lot of people that will be answered.
Sure.
I've learned so much stuff in doing these things already. I mean, seriously, what I do is technology news. I don't do tech. They've listed some best practices stuff, and I'm like, oh, kind of wish I'd been doing that all along. But at least I will now, so so it's good.
It's a good lead into our topic this week because we're talking about the brand new iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, which we espoused the virtues of last week when they were introduced. And I know, Benjamin, you wanted to talk about...
I wanted to talk about your thoughts in regards to what happened with the 3.5 millimeter jack just disappearing, going away, and everybody moving over to the Lightning port.
I will tell you one of the things that I thought about, because the way I use my iPhone most of the day when I'm going between clients is it's also my GPS, so I plug it in, but I'm also listening to music, I'm listening to podcasts, and I've got a 3.5 millimeter audio jack to connect to my car stereo. And Apple is giving you a Lightning to 3.5 millimeter jack with your iPhone 7, but then I'm thinking, well, how am I going to charge it? Well, lo and behold, Belkin has just introduced a Lightning to dual Lightning adapter. So you plug one end into the Lightning port of the new iPhone 7, and then it splits off into 2 more Lightning connectors. One you can connect to a charging cable, and the other one you can connect to your brand new Apple Lightning to 3.5 millimeter adapter, and then connect to your audio output device.
My thoughts go towards the fact that they've abandoned something that's been around for ages and ages and ages. How much equipment around has that plug?
I know, but think about this. You want your IP67 dust and waterproofness, so it's one less hole to get moisture and dust into.
Well, I actually found out when I was in Vegas earlier this year that they've kind of abandoned the 3.5 millimeter jack anyway. So we were doing panels. Took my MacBook Air, took my regular 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter with a quarter-inch jack on the end, took it over to their board, plugged it in, can't get any audio because it turns out the 3.5 millimeter jack that Apple has been shipping has these 3 little rings at the bottom instead of the 2.
Yes.
Now, of course, they used to have an audio in and an audio out, and then they didn't have the audio in and the audio out anymore. They just had the one port, but you could go in and change it in settings, whether it was going to listen or whether it was going to broadcast.
Another reason why I love my 2011 MacBook Pro, because it has both.
But now, if you don't have one of those 3-ring minis, you're toast.
Right.
And so, luckily, my co-host had actually already ordered something for a different purpose. I think maybe it was for the iPhone or something like that. So the 3.5 millimeter jack has already become a bit more specialized. And being an audio guy, I like the fact that I've got 4 or 5 cords that I could just plug in and switch around and stuff like that. Now, that said, they telegraphed this for a very long time. We've known for a good bit of the year that this was going to happen. I still find it to be the most disappointing thing about the phone, and I think it's kind of silly that I've got a bit of something to me that I can be that disappointed when everything has indicated that this was going to happen. I mean, they've led in for a very long time.
Fair enough, yeah.
I mean, honestly, otherwise, they more pleasantly surprised me than anything else. I didn't think they were going to get rid of the 16-gigabyte version.
As an Apple-certified consultant, the bane of my existence is dealing with not even clients. Forget that. When family members know that I'm an expert on this subject, and they want to know, oh, what am I supposed to do with all my pictures? My phone is always full.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, you didn't make the expense of the extra $100 a priority, so you are now suffering the consequences of having a 16 gigabyte device in a time and era when 16 gigabytes doesn't serve anybody.
It's much better for the consumer. I'm just surprised that Apple didn't go ahead and keep the 16 gigabyte so they could push it up to the 64, or now the 128, of course.
Very true. Well, I'd like to thank you, Ken, for joining us this week on Computer Talk Radio. So, Ken, tell people where they can find you.
Well, for the news show, if they go to iTunes or wherever quality podcasts are served and search for Secure Mac, all one word, that should get them to the checklist. Otherwise, I'm macOS Ken just about every place. So on Twitter, it's at macOS Ken. It's macosken.com. And, of course, for my daily show, just search iTunes for macOS Ken.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll have you on again in the future here on Computer Talk Radio.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
As for now, this is Benjamin Rockwell.
And I'm Keith M. Sedor.
I'll be back in just a moment with more Computer Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Benny Rockwell. Most of us use video cameras nowadays, but what about those old movie films in the back of your closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. Imagine Grandpa's old 8mm and 16mm films that are just sitting in a box getting old and fading away. Legacy Digital will clean and recondition those films, capture them digitally frame by frame, and then produce beautiful DVDs of your precious memories on long-lasting, archive-quality discs. They don't use a projector, and your films can't be damaged in the process, the best available for families like yours. The final results are gorgeous. What better way to preserve those precious memories for future generations? Call right now, mention my name, Benny Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. 1-866-253-4229. And tell them Benny sent you. Your memories are priceless. So call 866-2-LEGACY now.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. That is where you can check out the latest information about what we've got going on. We're slowly changing the website yet again. Little minor changes here and there. I have no idea where it's going to stop. The websites are an evolving item all the time. You go to a website, it's very rare that it's not changing a whole lot. Steve Keske joins me now here on Computer Talk Radio. And Steve, what do you have for us this week?
I want to talk about for seniors, they're now really going hot and heavy on advertising for these all-in-one touchscreen computers for seniors and telling you how nice and easy to use it is. Now, we talked before about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the software is easy to use. It's nice. You touch the screen, so forth and so on. There are some major drawbacks that they're not telling you about.
Okay. So now, are we talking about a specific brand, or are we talking about across the board?
Across the board. I really did some research into the Telekin, and I want to say something about them, or basically, because their problems are, shall we say, inherent in just about everyone else.
Okay.
All right. Number one on the big list of bad problems is they're an all-in-one computer system.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, what that means that most of the people won't tell you about is that if any part of that computer system goes down, you have to take the whole thing in to get it fixed.
Yeah, that is very true. That's one of those things. It's like laptops. That's one of the warnings I give people. When we're talking about desktop versus laptop, fortunately, components have gotten a lot better in the brand names. But when we start talking about off brands, weird stuff that you've never heard of.
That's right.
I've heard the brand Telekin before. I think probably from you though. I don't know that I've heard it a whole lot outside of that.
No, and again, it's an all-in-one. Okay, let's say that something does go wrong. Now I have to take it in to get it fixed. But where do I go? There are very few repair places that will actually work on one.
Yes. Yeah, very true. Even the that big brand that has the blue stores with the yellow price tag. I'll give you a hint. Yeah. They struggle. In my experience, whenever dealing with things like laptops or all-in-ones, the desktops, they're a little bit better as far as for hardware problems. For software problems, Windows is Windows is Windows.
Yeah. Now, that brings me to number 2 problem.
Yes.
Operating system.
Mm-hmm. What operating system are they running on that?
Shall we say, a modified Linux version. Operating system.
Okay, yeah.
And when I say modified, it's not a true complete Linux system.
Okay.
They've only taken pieces and parts.
It's probably Linux. It's just a very limited form of Linux.
Oh yeah, very limited.
Because Linux is one of those things which is a modular system in a way. There are very very skinny versions of Linux that are out there, but when you get to skinny, you also get to the concept of, we're going to leave out this feature, we're going to leave out that particular functionality, we're going to streamline this by just eliminating support altogether for this, that, or the other thing. Yeah,
and 2, they lock it down. No prompts, no getting into things. Nobody can get into it unless you have the actual software, person that can work on it.
Yeah, and at that point in time, you're limited to the folks on the other end of the phone on tech support with whatever company.
That's right.
So, okay.
And because of that, there's no adding on software.
Yeah. See, this is one of those things. Whenever you get a system, for the most part, your average person is going to want to go in one of 2 directions: Windows or Mac. As far as for PCs, Windows or Mac, those 2 give you a lot of power, a lot of control with your software, with the configuration of the system. You get to learn a lot of stuff if you are not, if you're more of a novice computer user.
Right.
And that is actually okay. One of the things I read recently was that seniors actually are far more flexible, far more adept at learning new operating systems and new programs than the millennials are.
That's right, because they have had to, all these years in their life, everything has been changing. And because they're changing within their lifetime, they've had to adapt and constantly adapt. And they know how to adapt. The millenniums don't.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. It's very rare that you'll find one that adapts as well as a senior citizen. They do. Some of them do, and some of them actually, of course, far better. But it's a very interesting world out there. Definitely.
And then they got the LCDs. Those are the displays they're using.
Yeah, we've actually run out of time for this week, Steve. But we'll probably pick this up again pretty soon here. This is Benjamin Rockwell. That's Steve Keske. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and, well, a normal person. Recently, though, it became clear to me that it was time to upgrade. I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After looking for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their care, their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when all I needed was a 1-gallon bucket. The folks at SiteGround know WordPress, Joomla, and more. SiteGround.com. SITE ground.com for your web hosting needs. SiteGround. Marty Winston joins me now here on Computer Talk Radio, and we're going to break from tradition in the 40-year house. And Marty, you had something you wanted to comment on in regards to texting?
Yes, indeed. Many states have laws that say you can't text while driving.
Yes, definitely.
And enforcing those laws comes at a cost.
Mm-hmm.
Many utilities are out there to stop you from texting while driving. And many of those utilities require you to either endure ads or pay money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's wrong with this picture? And I'll tell you very specific. There's a box in every cell tower that knows the location of every handset within its footprint. It can also, at zero cost to the phone company, track the speed of every handset in its footprint. It can know immediately and for free any handset that is moving at a highway speed.
Sure,
and the phone companies could, at zero cost to anyone, put texts on pause while handsets are moving and then for a little while beyond. Now, what's to hate about that? Well, let's say you're a passenger and you want to text.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, my answer is too bad. 61%. I heard this from an AT&T executive. 61% of the population surveyed by them still texts while driving.
Yes. Yeah. There is, I talked about this recently. The AT&T actually has an ad where they talked to a bunch of people who admitted to texting and driving, and they had a woman come into the room, and she was distinctly handicapped. And it was because she was a passenger in her parents' car when they were texting, when the other folks were texting and driving, and wound up plowing into her car. And she survived. Her parents didn't. And of course, she's suffering physically from that many years later. It's a powerful commercial.
It is, but listen, any listeners out there who are in management at AT&T or Verizon or Sprint or T-Mobile, please, this is just common sense. Don't make us pay money in taxes for enforcement of something you can be stopping to begin with for free. Don't make anybody pay for an application. Don't force parents to go into Nazi mode where they're governing their kids by keeping an eye on their traffic speed on the phone.
Yeah.
That's not the kind of country this is.
Yeah.
Just fix it. Just put it on pause. That passenger can wait. That texting can wait.
I think even for ourselves, even for each of us, we all need to be putting it on pause. I think you're right, though. I think we need to find AT&T, Verizon, all those guys could dive into this.
I think so.
It'll take some pressure, though. Maybe somebody out there has an idea. Maybe one of the listeners has an idea that we could all benefit from. Of course, feel free to contact me or Marty as well. Go to computertalkradio.com, slide on down to where it says Contact Us, and give us your idea in regards to getting people to stop texting and driving. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. We'll catch you next week.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theRadioFactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time.